welcome to all of our live streamers all across the world. We have Peru, Germany, South Africa, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Kansas, New York, Tennessee, and Texas. Welcome to all of you. Yeah? Well, my name is Penny Maxwell. My husband and I are the senior pastors here at Freedom House. He is actually at our Lake Norman campus this morning. For those of you who do not know, who are not familiar with how we do church here at Freedom House, all of our campuses, we have live speakers. Are y'all trying to mute me back there? I haven't even started preaching yet. So at all of our campuses, we have live speakers. Why is that? Because our heart and our DNA is to have the smell of the sheep on our clothing. We did not want to pipe in and just do one feed here from our central campus. We wanted people to be in the midst, to be with you, touching you, loving you, hugging on you. That's just our heart, and it's how we do church here. So we have one of our leaders at our South End campus as well, and I get to be here with all of you beautiful people today. So the series, as you heard, that we are in is called My Messy Life, and I just kind of relate to that a little bit. Does anybody else in here relate to this series? So I have to tell you something that happened. My kids were younger, so I have two in college, and then I have one that is in high school. She's a junior, and when they were younger, we would literally just pack our house out for life group. And in order to do that, you know, my kids were younger, and you had to clean, and it was quite dirty because their goldfish and all their little snacks and their handprints were everywhere, right? They'd wipe their nose on stuff. So I'm like, I gotta get the house clean. It has to be spotless. Everybody from life groups coming over. So here I am, just like the whole house looked immaculate. I mean, it looked so good. All the fingerprints gone, all the nose stuff gone. Everything was looking so incredible. You could even smell the pine sol in the air. It smelled fresh. It looked fresh. And since it's life group, we had to have all the snacks out, right? Because what's a good life group without snacks? So I had all that. I mean, it was looking really good and put together. And then the doorbell starts ringing and people just start flooding into the house. There were so many people there for life group that night. We were doing this video series, and we would all gather around the TV for this particular series we were doing in life group. And so the men in our group, they had this really brilliant idea. They said, you know, since there's so many of us, would you mind if we just took your sofa and if we picked it up about 4 feet and brought it back here and sat your sofa so we could all join in and watch TV together? Well, I mean, it sounded like a really good idea, except for when they picked up my furniture and they moved my furniture. The facade that I had painted was gone. I mean, the goldfish crackers, the Cheerios, the Lego toys that the dog had chewed up. I mean, the juice box trash. I mean, dust bunnies that were multiplied. I am just horrified because I made it look so clean and so neat. I thought I'd gotten rid of all the evidence until they moved my furniture. Mortified. And I wish I could tell you that that was the only time that I'd been embarrassed publicly in a group like that. There was more. As a matter of fact, just a few months ago, you know, I am on social media. I love social media, most of it. I love to get on and post pictures. And I like when the stuff that you plan out, like the pretty stuff, like the pretty flowers, the ones you pose for, and I make my husband read, I'm like, no, babe, hold it higher. I'm not skinny enough. Hold that camera higher. Men, when you're taking a picture of your wife or any woman for that matter, she wants you to hold it high because it makes her look thinner, okay? That will save you from having to redo 5 or 6 times. Just a free tip. Just a free tip for you. So all these different pictures that I post, and I wanted you to see a few of them because, I brought a few with me. Okay, that's me and my husband. That's 26 years of marriage. That deserves some likes, right? I mean, that should get some likes. I mean, I had my hair fixed. Like, my clothes were ironed, right? And we matched. That should get some likes. What else do we have? Okay, me and Mama Joyce. I mean, who doesn't love Joyce Myers? I mean, she's my shero. My shero. And then there's myself and my 2 girls. I mean, and then there's me and a friend, Brooke, who were dressed up for a party. I mean, those should get a lot of likes because I planned for them. Oh, and there's me preaching at our women's conference. I mean, those were all stand here, look like this, do this, smile, right? I mean, those are the ones you're supposed to like. And I think probably the most likes I'd ever gotten on a picture was like 500. But something happened this one day. And my husband and I, we were celebrating. It was our anniversary. And we went to Charleston for the day. And he had this restaurant that he wanted to take me to because he knows I love their coconut cake, okay? So he took me to this restaurant, but the thing was it was a nice restaurant, so I couldn't wear my tennis shoes to go roaming up and down the streets of Charleston, right? It's a little bumpy, got some hills, some old cobblestone. So I had to be smart because it's really hard for a woman to look cute and be functional at the same time. So it's either do I want like the cute shoes or do I want to be able to walk? So I thought, okay, I will go somewhere in the middle and I will do the shoes in the middle, and I wore those that day. And so I walked up and down the streets, and then it unloaded. The rain just started pouring down. Can I just tell you, high-heel shoes on a cobblestone street, when it's wet and your feet are sliding back and forth, girls, y'all feel my pain right now, right? And guys, you feel the pain too because your wife complains when it happens. I mean, it's painful. I got blisters, my Band-Aids like were sliding off because my feet were getting wet. So then I had to like keep taking Band-Aids and like stacking them to keep the blisters from hurting. And then my feet started to bleed. I mean, and then the straps from my shoes, I mean, they were cutting into my feet. I mean, this was some pain all for dinner, you know? And so I'm like just struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. And finally dinner was over and we get in the car and we're headed back to Charlotte. And I did something. I kicked my shoes off and I put my feet up on the dashboard because my husband says I'm a redneck. And I put my feet up on the dashboard and they looked horrendous. They looked natty. I mean, so natty. They were bad. And like something in my head somewhere said, why don't you post this picture? And against my better judgment, I posted this nasty picture of my feet. And I know y'all want to see it. Put the picture up there. You see? I know. I posted that. I mean, can you count how many Band-Aids are on those blistered toes? But thank God I had a painted toenails. I mean, but just can I tell you what happened? All all the pictures that I posted through the years, the really pretty, nice, good pictures, this picture went flipping viral. I mean, it was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of likes. I was in shock. I mean, my kids are coming home from school going, Mom, everybody at school is talking about your feet. It's on the Explore page. It's on the Popular page. It's circling the globe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know why. Why in the world? I can't figure it out. And literally, can I just tell you, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments are all on my Insta feed, half of which I had to delete because there's some people with some feet fetishes, y'all. I mean, it's a little freaky deaky, some of these people. I'm like, Lord have mercy, but all these different countries. I mean, it was on Pinterest. And I am just like, I cannot understand why, of all the good, pretty pictures that I post, why the most raw, real, embarrassing? And then I thought about it and I said, that's why. Because all of us can relate to feeling bandaged, band-aided, blistered, bruised, hurt, bleeding, and doing everything we know to try to cover that up. But the thing that I have found out is that every single one of us is going through something. All of us have a mess in our life. All of us have dirt underneath our furniture, and we may have tried really hard to clean up. But if you just move the furniture just a little bit, you know that it's there. And the thing that I love is that no matter how messy it is underneath our furniture, no matter how bruised or broken or blistered we may feel, Jesus can show up right in the middle of our mess. As a matter of fact, he does it time and time and time again in the Bible. There was a blind man, Bartimaeus, begging by the roadside. He had no sight. People walked by him all the time and ignored him. And Jesus stops right in his mess and he heals him. There's a woman who was hanging out at a well, and she came at the hottest part of the day when she knew nobody else would be there, because the respectable women came early in the day before the hottest day, the hottest time where the sun was out. So here she is coming thinking she won't have to face anybody because she had been with 6 men. But little did she know that the 7th man, the number of perfection, was going to stand right in front of her, getting up in the middle of her mess, right there in the middle. He didn't care what her reputation was. He didn't care that in the time of society, she was a Samaritan, considered a half-breed, and she was not even supposed to be talked to by a Jew. They just did not associate. But Jesus disregarded whatever society had to say. And he showed up right in the middle of her mess. And she says to him, you're here at the well, but you don't even have anything to draw water with. Because he didn't come for that. And then she makes a prophetic statement about her life. She says, but Jesus, this well is really deep. It's really deep. You don't know how deep this hurt is. And he says, I know you've been with 5 men, now you're with number 6, but welcome to number 7. Jesus showed up when people needed a miracle, when they were hurt, when they were broken. There was a woman who was profusely bleeding for 12 long years. She'd been to every doctor she could get to, spent her whole life savings trying to be made whole. And Jesus gets right in the middle of her situation and he heals her. He heals her because she was willing to be vulnerable. She was willing to let the sofa back a little bit so the King of Kings could come in. There was a lame man laying by the pool in Bethesda, and all he wanted to do was be healed. And Jesus walked up and spoke to his lame body and said, "Get up, roll up your mat." He is still doing that today. He is still showing up in the middle of our hurt, the miscarriages, the infertility, the financial problems, the struggling to be the head of the house and the leader of the home. He shows up in those situations. He shows up in the midst of betrayal, in the midst of a divorce or a difficult relationship scenario. And he says, if you let me in, I will heal you. I will help you. I will make you whole. Can you allow me access to the mess that's under the furniture? See, the part that we couldn't hide, but we wished we could. When that sofa was moved back, it allowed me to see what wasn't there before so I could deal with it. It wasn't to embarrass me or to make me feel shame or exposure. It was moved so I could clean up. And somebody else helped me to see that. But I had to be willing. And can I just tell you, that doesn't ever change. The tendency when you and I go through stuff is we want to withdraw, we want to isolate. We all have a defense mechanism when we are going through pain that helps us to get through, or so we think. Can I just tell you, the last probably 8 months, what my mess under my sofa has looked like? It has looked like me having anger and having to deal with anger. It would show itself in being short. You know, my fuse not being as long as it used to, being snappy, being a reactor instead of a responder, just snapping at things, just short. And I started to question myself and why that was my response. And I realized that there was some anger that was going on in my life. I was angry. And I've been pastoring for almost 25 years, so I know that anger is not a primary emotion, it's a secondary emotion. And so I had to sit back and I had to chase the anger and find out what was underneath the surface. You see, anger is simply unresolved hurt. Anger is unresolved hurt. But it displays itself in the way that it does because it seems way more powerful to feel angry and mad and retaliate than to admit that I feel hurt, betrayed, left, isolated, broken, abandoned. And it feels so much more powerful to put up the anger and feel strong. But the truth is that underneath of it, an acknowledgement of hurt needed to happen. And can I stand here today and tell you that all of that is gone? No, I cannot. You do not walk through life and go through bumps and bruises and tragedies and not be unscathed. But God in his amazing power says, can I peel back the layers of that onion? Can I come in and can I peel that back for you? And many times when we go through stuff, we are under the false assumption. We wouldn't necessarily say it with our mouth, but our actions would say that we think it's God's fault. because we stop serving because we've been hurt. We stop giving because we've been hurt. We stop opening up our heart because we've been hurt. Because somewhere, God, we're not vocalizing it, but it's rolling around up here. You should have stopped it. You shouldn't let this happen. Why has this happened to me? In other words, you're not a good father. And we find ourselves backing up. And can I just tell you that God does not cause our messes, but God will use them every single time. He did not cause your hurt and your pain, but he's saying, since you're dealing with this and since I'm your answer, give it to me. Let me have it. Hand it over. Romans 8:28 says this, and we know that all that happens, not some, a portion, a third, all that happens to us is working for our good if we love God and are fitting into his plans. How many times do we ask him to fit into ours? And can I just tell you this, at the end of the day, no matter how broken, how many quirks we have, no matter what sin we struggle with, no matter how many jagged edges or pain that we have walked through, we still need each other. We still need each other. I need you, and you need me, and you need the person that's sitting beside you on either side. We still need each other despite what we've walked through, despite what we've gone through. You see, in the Bible, loving God is followed very closely by a second of loving people. It says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength, and equally as important, loving each other. But sometimes that's hard. Because when all of us are walking around in life and we're imperfect and we've each got issues, it's like two porcupines trying to do a dance together, right? I mean, we all have quills. And when you get up close to each other, sometimes we stick each other. I brought a picture of a porcupine because I want you to see what I'm talking about. All of us are like these porcupines. We're walking through life with sharp points, trying not to stick each other. But do you know what I want you to see about this picture? One porcupine is looking at the other. When I am looking at you, it is so easy for me to see your quills. But look how hard it is for me to turn around and see my own. It's so hard to look back and realize that I am covered in quills just like you. Just like you are. This is us. We're trying to do life closely together, but we're doing the porcupine dance. I mean, it's hard, right? We're sticking each other, we're hurting each other, and it's not easy. But let me give you some facts about a porcupine that you didn't know you were going to learn in church today. The first fact about a porcupine is porcupines are born with soft hairs, but they learn to harden them over time. Does that sound familiar? Look at your neighbor and say, I'm a porcupine too. Porcupines only show their quills when they feel threatened. Porcupines do not just walk around sticking people and things. They feel threatened, and it is their automatic response mode. They are not intentionally trying to inflict wounds. They are trying to self-preserve. Does that sound familiar? Porcupines have 50% soft hair mixed in with 50% quills. But have you ever, one time, ever heard anybody talk about the soft hair of a porcupine? No, because we focus on that which harms us or hurts us. We don't focus on the good, we focus on what hurts us. I see your quills, and when I see a quill, I can overlook every other good thing that you have ever done because I am trying to protect myself from being hurt. And it is hard to imagine walking through life doing a porcupine dance, but can I tell you this? There is not one time in the Bible, not one time, where someone received their healing that was not aided by somebody else. Not one instance in the entire Bible. In other words, we are meant to be each other's answers, quills and all. Despite our imperfections, we are meant to be each other's answers. But you see, in order for me to embrace your mess, I gotta be okay with my mess. Because if I'm not okay with my mess, I will easily point to all the dirt under your sofa, keeping my sofa tucked up and neat because I don't want to expose. But if all of us choose to scoot the furniture back together, that's a picture of healthy relationships. And can I just tell you, in relationships, we get stuck sometimes. But just because we get pierced at times did not stop Jesus himself from coming down and getting close to us, knowing he was going to get pierced. He still chose to enter into a relationship with us and redeem us so we could be a picture and a model of how we could walk life out when we do it together. And can I just tell you, when we talk about messy life, I'm not talking about living a subpar, substandard, quasi-fe life. I am talking about living a life with intention and with purpose and progress. And with progress comes mess. You cannot have progress and not have mess. Progress is messy, y'all. It's messy. It looks messy. Proverbs 14:4 says this, where no oxen are, the trough is clean. But much increase comes by the strength of an ox. To have the power of the ox, we must be willing to deal with the messes that come with it. In other words, you can go out and try to plant seeds in the field on your own, and it's going to take you a really long time, and you will do it by yourself. Or you can engage with the power of the ox and all the strength behind it. You can go out there and you can plow field after field after field after field after field. But with the ox comes the ox stall. And in the stall, it can stink sometimes. It can get a little manure slapped around. It can attract some flies at times. But progress is messy. Progress is messy. Have you ever done a renovation on your house? It's messy. It's messy. Do you have children? Because if you have children, you understand this. Kids make a mess. But the alternative is that they're not there. So we have to embrace the mess for the sake of progress. Psalms 126:5 says, those who sow their tears as seeds will reap a harvest with joyful shouts of glee. They may weep as they go out carrying their seed to sow, but they will return with joyful laughter and shouting with gladness as they bring back armloads of blessing and a harvest overflowing. Can I tell you that when God called me into the ministry, I had this whole dialogue with him. When he called me into the ministry, I remember thinking, wait, I have seen a lot who have come before me, and I've watched the mess that they have had to walk through. With the bullseye being painted on your back, leading out front, coming against principalities and powers and hell coming at you every minute of every day. I watched my leaders when I was young coming into ministry. I watched my leaders go through that. And I remember thinking, okay, God, I will do that on one condition. This is my offer to God. I said, I will do that as long as when people come after me or when something goes down, I don't want to hurt. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want the drama. I don't want the mess. I want you to protect me. I don't want to feel the pain and the hurt because I've watched what they have gone through that have come before me. And he didn't really like my offer because he counter-offered me. And he said to me, he said, Penny, I cannot make you that promise, but this is what I can do. I will promise you that when you go through hurt, when you go through pain, when you feel discouraged, when you feel let down, when you feel abandoned, when you feel upset, I will show up right there in the middle of that. But I can't promise you a pain-free life in ministry. But I can promise you that despite the hurt, despite the pain, I will be there right in the middle of it. And I liked my offer much better. You know, I wanted, like in the movies, you know, that invisible force field, you know, where stuff shoots at you and it just kind of bounces off and you're all happy and great. But that's not life. God isn't telling you either that you will have a pain-free life leading your business or leading your family or any of the things that you're doing. But what he will say is, I'll be there for you. I will show up when everything under your furniture is exposed. I will be there. I will help clean it up. I will comfort you. That's why the Holy Spirit is called the Comforter. And can I just tell you that you don't even know what peace feels like unless you've been in a battle. You don't know what the mountaintop feels like unless you've been in a valley experience. You don't know what it feels like to experience joy unless you've had sorrow. We don't know forgiveness unless we've had blame. We don't know what healing feels like unless we've been sick. And God is saying, listen, I'm not promising you that everything will be perfect. I am promising you that I will be made perfect in your weakness. That's what I promise. So what do we do when we've been hurt? How do we walk this out in life? Turn to your neighbor and say, you are a porcupine too. Mike and Carrie, can I borrow you guys for a minute? So here's the first thing. Here's the first thing that you have to know when hurt has happened to you. What do you do next? What happens when you have been hurt? Step number one, acknowledge the quill. Acknowledge the quill. Acknowledge the fact that you are hurt, that something there is off. Acknowledge it. So if you guys step closer to the end of the platform here. So here's the demonstration that I want to show you, because this is the best way I know how to explain it, okay? We're both going to make them 10 years old right now. We're going to take them back just a few years, right? Just a few. And so here's what we're going to do. I want you both to put your right hand out. So here's what we're going to say. They're both 10 years old, and Carrie has a splinter in her hand, and Mike has a splinter in his hand. And both of those splinters came in, they got underneath the skin, and they were painful, right? So we're going to fast forward. How old are you, Mike?
28.
You are not 28 years old. He's lying up in church.
45.
Okay, so you're 45. So we're gonna pretend like we're gonna fast forward. They were 10 years old, right? Mike, at 10 years old, I'm gonna go ahead because you've acknowledged this, so we can deal with that. So your splinter's not there anymore, right? But Carrie, we're gonna leave yours in because you haven't acknowledged the quill yet, right? So we're gonna fast forward, and now they're not 10, they're 45. So in my relationship with Mike, I go, hey, Mike, man, how you doing? What do you say?
Good.
Doing good, man. How's business? How's life? Everything's good. The same handshake, the same thing that I did to him, I come over here. But you see, I'm not just dealing with a splinter this many years later. 35 years later, I'm dealing with a big infection. It's going up the whole arm, pus, everything, and it's starting to invade the whole body. Because she didn't ever acknowledge the quill, the splinter, the hurt. So I go up to her and I say, hey, Carrie, how you doing? And Carrie, like, what's going on?
You just hurt me.
Carrie, I did not hurt you. Watch how this works, Carrie. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Do you see how this works? Like, Carrie, like, I did not hurt you. Like I just shook your hand. So let me try that again, because I'm gonna kind of force my way in a little bit. You shouldn't be hurt because, like, it doesn't hurt. Mike, I'm just getting close to you. This is called relationship, okay? So we're gonna try this again, Carrie. What did you just say?
Ouch.
But Carrie, I didn't do anything to you. I'm just trying to get close to you, Carrie. Why are you acting this way? You see, did I hurt her? I actually did. But should it have hurt? No. But I did hurt her. The reason it hurts is because there was something below the surface that she never dealt with. And because she never dealt with it, it affects every encounter that she has. Every single encounter. Whereas the same thing over here, we're good. This happens time and time and time again in life. It happens with our spouse. What you just said really hurt. Okay, was it what I said, or was it the fact that there's a splinter that never got removed? What is the issue here? Let's chase it down. Thank you guys for letting me use you. So the first thing is you acknowledge the quill. You go inside before you try to go outside, right? So when my husband and I have conflict, the first question I ask myself is, should this have hurt? Is this me or is this him? And always it's him, but I'm just saying, I still ask the question just to give him the benefit of the doubt, you know? But sometimes it's the 10-year-old Penny coming out, not the 47-year-old Penny. And I've got to figure out what is below this surface that is not serving me well anymore, that I've got to let go of in order to have healthy relationships with people. Number two, you got to acknowledge the quill. And number two, you got to be still. Don't run from the process. The Bible says to be still and know that He is God. Hold still. He will take care of it if you hold still. Don't run from the process. Number three, expect pain. Expect pain. This is the part where 99% of people exit relationships because they experienced some pain. Or they exit a job situation, they exit a marriage, they exit a friendship because it was painful. But if we both acknowledge that you have quills and I have quills, what do we do about that? You see, pain is actually a good thing. Can I prove it to you? If you had an appendix that burst and you did not feel pain, what would happen to you? You would die. Therefore, pain is an indicator that says, hey, pay attention. Something needs your attention. If you go to put your hand over a hot stove, it's a signal to you, move your hand back. That's hot. We got to figure out when we're walking through pain, God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to speak to me? What do I have that needs to be adjusted? Sometimes it's just us increasing our pain threshold. Sometimes it's just God saying, listen, I want to build a skyscraper with you, and I can't build a skyscraper unless that foundation is really deep. The taller the skyscraper, the deeper the digging. And He's saying, will you let me dig? Because I need to see how much you can hold. And it hurts. It feels painful. How do you get better at playing the piano? You keep playing the piano. You keep at it. Even if your fingers get a little tired, you keep at it. Number 4, we've got to acknowledge the quill, be still, expect pain. Number 4, extract the quill. Extract the quill. Get it out. Don't leave it there. Can I just tell you, it is so much easier to get it out in the beginning than trying to deal with it 35 years later. You see, when my kids were little and they would come to me with a splinter, they were anticipating that it would be way worse to extract it than it would be. I mean, you'd have thought they were dying. They would scream and roll around for a little bitty splinter, and at that point, it was little bitty. But if they don't let me take it out and remove it when it needs to be removed, we got a big mess later. So whether we're at the stage in life where we're trying to get the splinter out or where we've got a big pussy mess, God is saying, will you let me at it? Because I can deal with both. Will you let me have access? He wants access to your mess. He's not afraid of your mess. He's not intimidated by your mess. I have a friend named Jensen Franklin who wrote this book, and I love the title. It says, Love Like You've Never Been Hurt. How might we treat people differently if we didn't penalize them for what the last people did to us? How might our relationships look if we weren't holding the current ones hostage for what the last ones had done or didn't do? How might our marriages be different? How might our friendships be different, or our working relationships be different? You see, I determined in my life that I didn't want to just rest in peace when I was 6 feet under. I want to rest in peace right now, on the earth, right now. But I think part of the issue is we don't realize that Jesus is actually right there in our mess, in our hurt, in our pain. Both Marys showed up to the tomb. They were crying, they were looking frantically for Jesus, and they're talking to a gardener saying, "Where is he? We're hurting. What have you done with him?" They didn't recognize that the gardener wasn't really the gardener, it was Jesus. Jacob had this whole caravan of people that were after him, that were trying to kill him. And he's wrestling with this man all night, and he's tired and he's exhausted, and he lays his head down on a rock and falls asleep. And he wakes up the next morning and he says, "Surely the presence of the Lord was in this place, and I didn't even know it." You see, it wasn't a man that he was wrestling with. He was wrestling with God. God was right in the middle of his hurt, of his pain, of his situation. He just didn't know he was there. Saul, on the road to Damascus, is traveling. Saul had been a killer of Christians. He gets knocked off of his horse onto the ground. And he looks up and he sees this bright light coming from the sky. And he says, "Who are you?" And the voice comes back, "It's me. It's Jesus, the one that you've been persecuting. But I'm not going to leave you, Saul. I'm going to change you. Your name is now Paul. I'm going to give you a new life. I'm going to give you new direction. I'm going to give you a new future. You may feel blinded right now, but I'm actually giving you vision when you feel blind." That's who Jesus is. That's who Jesus is. Psalms 40:17 says, "As for me, I am poor and I am needy, but the Lord takes thought for me. You are my help. You are my deliverer. Do not delay. Oh my God." Will you stand up on your feet with me? Can you bow your head and close your eyes? I'm going to take this moment right now with all the heads bowed, all the eyes closed. There are some people here in this room and maybe even watching online. We want to be there for you in your mess, but even more importantly, Jesus does. If you are online watching and you say, "Man, I got a mess, I need some help right now," can you just click the hand that you see? That's just representing you lifting up your hand. Just click it right now, right where you are. If you are in this room, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes and I want to pray over you. The band is going to be playing, and as they do, I want you to get out of your seat and to come up and line up across the front of this church and say, "God, I got some mess right now, and I want you to show up right in the middle of my mess." Just look to the person beside you. Say, "Excuse me, pardon me, I'm going to get rid of my mess today. Excuse me, pardon me." Just step over and just keep coming. Just keep coming. Say, I'm going to give my mess to Jesus because I need an exchange today. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to slide back my sofa because, see, I'm tired of all this stuff. I'm tired of inside. I'm inviting him into my mess right now. I'm removing the facade of everything's all right, everything's all together. And God, I let you in. Y'all just keep bunching up. Ushers, can you help him? Scoot him in. Just keep coming. And just lift your arms up right now. All across the room, even you online, just lift your hands up. Lift your hands up.
Know that he is good. He's a love like no other.
Make the exchange right now. Lift your arms up. Just
Oh,
say,
I
I'm letting
will
go.
lean back
I'm letting go of the mess. I'm letting go of the
of
hurt.
a beautiful
I'm letting go of the anger. I'm letting go of the pain. I'm letting go of the past. I'm letting go of the frustrations. I'm letting go of the insecurity. I'm letting go of the pride. I'm letting go of the anxiety. I'm letting go of the depression. I invite your healing into my life. We're going to lean back. Just lean back.
of a beautiful flower. No breathing, and know that he's good. He's a love like no other. Oh, lean back in loving arms of a beautiful father. He'll praise you, know that he's good. He's a love like no other.
Breathe it in. Breathe in his freedom. Breathe in the peace. God, we declare there is freedom in your house today. There is freedom in the house today. Lord, whatever has been holding us back, whatever has been keeping us from accomplishing all that you have, God, we release that today. We release it today. You are so good. You are a good, good Father. And it's just the beginning of what you're going to do in us today, Lord. Just the beginning as you begin to peel back those layers.